offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them.
That's right. And see, people like to do all these rituals that they made up on their own or they seen online or coming from some other wicked idolatry and try to worship the Most High in those ways. And you know, the Most High's not having that, right? He's not hearing that. He has guidelines and he has laws, statutes, commandments, and he has procedures and processes to follow, and they're very detailed, and it's not a lot of guesswork involved, right? But the problem is our people have reading comprehension, right? And we also hard-headed and wicked as hell. So we have to wake up, and that's why we're calling out to the 1/3, the elect, right? The elect of the nation of Israel. 2/3 of the nation of Israel got to be destroyed right along with the Gentiles and heathens, okay? For being wicked and living their life, you know, in a worldly manner. No, as the Israelites, practicing Israelites supposed to be holy, separate, set apart, right? It should be obvious that they're not in with the in crowd, okay? Because that's the broad way that leads to destruction. All right, sweet on.
I despise your feast days, and I will not smell your solemn assemblies. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them. Neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beast.
That's right, you know. So when you're walking around with the Jesus loves everyone sign, but you're not reading out of the Bible, you're not doing anybody any favors or any service. You're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing the Israelites a disservice, because they, you know, they listen to so-called white man in other nations, more so than they listen to their own people, right? Because we've been destroyed through divide and conquer and all other wicked systems set up against us here in America and abroad, right? Read on.
Take thou away from me the noise of thy songs, for I will not hear the melody of thy vows. But let judgment run down as waters, and righteousness as a mighty stream. Have ye offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and chant your images, the star of your God.
That's right. So all of the good works that you might have done, right? For example, when we were worshiping in the wilderness, but then we leave right out of there and go back to worshiping other idols. So all the other good stuff we've done now wiped away, right? You're only as good as the good you've done most recent, right? What have you done for me lately? Okay? So we gotta stay steadfast in this thing, right? You can't go hard and strong and then fizzle out, because it's just as if we would have never done anything at that point, right? You can't put your hand to the plow and then look back. You gotta stick this thing out, right? And that comes through faith, right? And by doing the works, it helps to build your faith. And through fellowship, congregating with your brothers, you know, like Israelites. That's how you build up your community and strength, right? That's how you separate yourself from the status quo, the general population, as we're commanded to do. We're commanded to be separate and holy, right? Shouldn't be running with the multitude to commit evil. All right, let's read on.
Amos chapter 5 and verse 27. Therefore will I cause you to go into captivity beyond Damascus, saith the Lord, whose name is the God of hosts.
That's right. The God of hosts, the God of armies. That's what hosts is talking about, right? He's not the God of sunshine and the God of hearts and kindness and love. Not to everybody all the time, right? The Most High is balanced, okay? Right? He creates good and evil, right? But they don't teach you that in Sunday morning Christianity, right? And that's why I suggest to my people and encourage them to stop going to church Sunday morning, right? You can find better things to do with your Sunday. Take you and your family. I mean, if you want to do something spiritual, read the Bible, right? Watch the Israelites, right? Your pastor doesn't know the Bible. He knows how to get the money out of you. He knows how to fundraise, right? He knows how to fill that church up with non-believers, but he don't know how to convert nobody, and he don't know how to save no souls. Because he's not reading the Bible to the people, right? Give me that, Jeremiah 23 and 23. Right? This is where Sunday morning Christianity does everybody a disservice who watches it on TV and who goes into a building, right, with a Roman torture rack at the top, right? And you think you're doing something spiritual and holy. No, you're just living your own best life and you're worshiping, you're being your own God there, right? Because you're not reading the Bible, and if you are, you're definitely not doing what's said in it. Because that's preposterous to you, right? Oh, well, this doesn't make any sense. This is old. This is all ancient, you know? This is the Bible days. Guess what? The Bible days are today, right? Because this place is going to be destroyed with thermonuclear fire, just like it says in the Bible. We're waiting on that today, all right? Give me that Jeremiah 23, 22.
Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 22, but if they had stood in my counsel.
Listen up, listen up. This is where Christianity has failed the general population, right? This is what they're not doing.
But if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my words.
Right. So first of all, they're not standing within the Most High's counsel, right? They're not operating under the law, statutes, and commandments. And then second of all, they're not allowing the people to hear the words of the Most High. They're not reading the Bible to the people and explaining it to them and making sense of it and connecting it to their day-to-day life, right? Because all these things in the Bible are connected and are, they're relevant to today's life. But Christianity, Sunday morning church, wants there to be a separation there, right? They want the biblical things to be make-believe and spiritual, spooky, and you really can't touch them, but you can just talk about them and have faith, and but there's no physical work, and everything's all like psychological. But no, the Bible is very simple and plain, right? Because we're a simple people, as the Israelites. So no, we just need to read the Bible and do what it says. It doesn't need to be a whole lot of interpretation there, right? Most interpretation is wicked because it comes from your heart, which is deceitful and wicked above all things, right? So let's read on. Let's Jeremiah.
Still in Jeremiah 23 verse 22, but if they had stood in my counsel and had caused my people to hear my words, then they should have turned them from their evil way and from the evil of their doing.
That's right. All you had to do to turn the people from their wicked way is to allow them to hear the words of God. Why you think when you go into church, you never hear the Bible being read fully, right? You'll hear a piece of a verse here or there. They'll quote it. They'll refer to it. Why aren't we reading it verbatim? Because they're trying to confuse you. They're not having you to teach the words because, they're not having you to hear the words because they're wicked, man. So get out of these places. They're not giving you the full story, right? The so-called black, Hispanic, or Native Indian on your father's side from Negro or indigenous descent, then this message is for you, and you need to start keeping the laws and the commandments. You need to start reading the Bible. You need to start understanding the way that the Israelites operate and are supposed to operate, right? And how we're supposed to worship and serve the Most High, our power, Yahweh. All right? So moving right along. All right, let's go to Leviticus.
Leviticus chapter 26.